Hello everyone. So today we're going to learn about how we find the midpoint of a line segment. Now midpoint, you might be able to figure out yourself, means the halfway point. And a line segment, you'll remember from geometry, is a line that has two endpoints. So here, I've drawn a line segment because it has two endpoints, A and B, and it just goes between those two. Now a line has no beginning and no end, so we can't really figure out the midpoint of that because we have no reference points to say, well, it's halfway between these two. So just looking at this line by eye, we know the midpoint is probably somewhere around here. But in coordinate geometry, we have the advantage of being able to work it out exactly using a formula. So the formula that we're going to use for the midpoint of a line segment is going to look like this. So we have x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now, something that people can forget to include in the midpoint of a line segment formula is the fact that this on the left is the x coordinate, our new x coordinate, and this on the right is our new y coordinate. So we have to write them out like coordinates. They have brackets on either side and a comma in between. So we simplify this out, we're going to have just one number on the left hand side, and when we simplify the right hand side out, we'll have one number on the right hand side. So it'll look like normal coordinates for a point. And it's just important to keep these brackets and the comma there the whole way through. So you can take down the formula now and pause the video, and when you're ready to have a look at an example, press play again. So the first example we'll do is the example we've done out here on the left hand side. The point A here is 1, 1, there its coordinates, and the point B has the coordinates 5, 3. So the next thing we'll do is write out the formula. x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Not forgetting that it's really important to include our brackets on either end and our comma in between. Now our x's and y's, we have an x1 and a y1, but we also have an x2 and a y2. So that means we need to fill both points into this formula. So let's just label them up now. Our first point is going to have an x and y value, x1 and y1. And our second point is going to have an x and a y value as well. For these ones, to make them clear as separate, we're going to call them x2 and y2. Now again, it doesn't matter really which order you put them in. This could be x1 and y1, and this can be x2 and y2. The important thing is that the ones are going together and the twos are going together, and you're never mixing them up, so having x1, y2. So now we can start subbing this into our formula. If we look down here, the formula wants us to put in x1 plus x2. So x1 is 1, x2 is 5. They're going to be divided by 2. On the right hand side, y1 is 1, y2 is 3. Now that we've filled in the formula, we're going to try and solve it out. Remembering that the left hand side is the x coordinate, the right hand side is the y coordinate. So we never need to add the left hand side and the right hand side together. They're two separate numbers. So 1 plus 5 is 6. On the left hand side, 1 plus 3 is 4 on the right hand side. 6 divided by 2 is going to simplify to 3, and 4 divided by 2 is going to simplify to 2. So that gives us a point, the point 3, 2. So this should be the midpoint now of our line. So we'll just double check this now. This isn't something you need to do every time. But we'll go back to our line here. We'll find 3 on the x-axis, which always comes first. We'll go from there. We'll find 2 on the y-axis, which comes second. So our point 3, 2 should be right here, which is roughly, it looks like the midpoint of this line here. But the mathematical version where we use the formula is always the most accurate. So if it looks slightly off there, it's just because the drawing isn't completely accurate. But that's the advantage of coordinate geometry, so that it always will give you the exact midpoint or the exact distance or whatever it is you're looking for. When you're ready, we're going to go on to another example now. So if you want to pause the video first, feel free to do so, and you can get the rest of that taken now. So the next question we're going to look at now is a little bit harder because I've thrown in a minus number here. So we'll just see what that's going to look like once we actually try and solve the midpoint. So if we've been asked to find the midpoint, again, we're always going to just use the midpoint formula. So when we write it out, it'll look like this. And once you've written it out, it's usually a good idea, because there's a lot of different things you could maybe make a mistake on here. Just double check it against the formula that you've already taken down to make sure it matches up exactly. And particularly these little sub numbers here. Okay, so now that we've got the formula written down, we're just going to decide what our points are going to be labeled. So we'll go to the first point, we'll label its x and y values. And we'll call them x1 and y1. Go to the second point, we'll label its coordinates as x and y, and that'll be our point 2. Again, it doesn't really matter which one you decide is going to be point 1 and point 2. You should still get the same answer. Now we'll start filling in our values. So x1 will be 2, x2 is 6, and that's going to be divided by 2. Y1 is 4, y2 is minus 2. Now this is where the trick comes in, because we need to remember that a plus and a minus is together going to give us a minus. So just try and bear that in mind whenever you see a plus and a minus together, that you probably will have to deal with that, and when dealing with it, you just need to remember that it's a minus. Okay, so now we can start solving the next line down. 2 plus 6 is 8. 4 plus minus 2. We know plus minus is just a minus. So 4 minus 2, we'll say, is just positive 2 by itself. Now again, we have to make sure that we keep our comma and we keep our brackets the whole way down. So the last step now, 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the midpoint between the points Q and R would be 4, 1.